Hey everyone, and welcome back to Thrift Flipping with Shauna. In today's video, I'm finally going to be making something for someone other than myself, so that's very exciting. I'm going to be turning a Nike hoodie into a corset. I'm very excited for this. I've done this before and I posted a video on my TikTok and a lot of people liked it. So a girl actually DM'd me on Instagram asking if I could make one for her, so that's exactly what I'm going to do today in this video. I'm going to walk you guys through all the steps on how I make it, how I made the pattern, etc. So I hope this is really helpful, and if you have a hoodie lying around and you want a corset, maybe you could make one for yourself as well. So yeah, this girl found a hoodie on Depop that someone was selling and sent it to me, and now I'm going to turn it into a corset for her. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that I did was remove the front pocket from the hoodie using a seam ripper. You want to maximize the amount of fabric you have, so try to do this carefully and try not to create any holes in the fabric while doing so. I then cut out my pattern pieces. I'll put a picture of the pattern I used here, but sadly I don't know how to make size adjustable patterns and all that fancy stuff, so I hope that this is helpful enough. I adjusted this to match the girl's bust and waist measurements which she sent to me, so the chest size of the corset matches her exact bust size, so you can just go ahead and change that to yours, and same with the bottom waist part. Depending on the shape of your hoodie that you're using, you'd probably cut the entire front and back piece out in one piece, but if you don't have a lot of fabric, you'd cut it out into multiple pieces and then sew it all together. I sewed the two pieces right side to right side along the edges, leaving one side unsewn and open, and that allowed me to flip it inside out. To flip it inside out, I just reached in through the side opening and grabbed the opposite corner and pulled it out, and this is what it looked like right side out. Okay, so I sewed the lining and the outer piece together and I flipped it on inside out like you guys saw in the previous clip. So the next thing you want to do is create the boning channels and cut your boning. So the first thing that we're going to do is sew like channels for the boning to go through, and then we're going to cut our boning and place it in the tubes. But yeah, that's what we're going to do now. I used a fabric marker and a ruler to line where I wanted to sew the boning channels. I'll put a picture here that includes where I put the channels and how far apart they were if you guys want that as well. Make sure that for whatever type of boning you're using, the channels are wide enough to hold it. I'm going to just sew a straight stitch along the lines that we drew to make those channels for the boning. So this is like a black corset, so I'm just going to use like black thread. You know, you could like do other color thread for contrast. That could be really cool. But I'm just going to do black, you know, keep it simple. Don't want to do anything too crazy. You just want to sew in all the lines you drew, and then you can slide the boning in. Just make sure, like I think I mentioned this earlier, just make sure that the channels are wide enough for like whatever boning you're using to fit through. So now that all the boning channels are drawn in, we're going to sew them and then put the boning in there. And for boning, I'm personally using spiral steel boning. I got this whole like loop of it off of Etsy, and I also bought little caps that you put on the end so they don't like pierce through the fabric. But you know, there's a lot of options for boning out there. I know on TikTok a lot of people use, what are they called, zip ties, and I personally also done that for a corset I made for myself because I didn't have spiral steel boning back then. But when I started making them for other people, I started using spiral steel boning tongue twister, because zip ties, like if you bend them, they'll never be able to like unbend, you know, like they'll permanently be bent because they're plastic. So spiral steel boning, you can like bend it as much as you want, but it'll always like stay nice and stiff and straight. So I've heard it's like a better option, it's like more professional, I guess. But honestly, you can use whatever you have, whatever's like in your price range, etc. There's also like other types of steel boning. There's also other types of like plastic boning. There's a lot out there. I bought this off of Etsy because it was at a reasonable price. I know like Amazon has some too, but it was a little bit more expensive. So yeah, just like do your research. Whatever like you want to use is what you shall use. The one thing I will say about spiral steel boning is that it is like a bitch to cut. It's so hard to cut. I use these pliers that was in my little toolkit my dad got me freshman year of college. At home when I like used this, we had like a lot of more like tools and stuff like that in our garage, so it was a lot easier for me to cut. I think I used like wire cutters and it cut obviously a lot easier, but I'm just using pliers because it's all I have in my apartment. And basically you have to like keep like bending it back and forth like along the pliers and like after 10 minutes of doing that, your arm is sore, your fingers hurt, and then maybe it'll snap. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, but that's what we're gonna do. Like, that's what I'm gonna do again today. And it's just like, I don't know, comes with the job, I guess. To cut the spiral steel boning, okay, last time I say that, I swear, I used regular pliers and grabbed the boning where I wanted to cut it. I then twisted it every way possible and folded it back and forth along the pliers until it snapped eventually. It honestly takes a long time, so put on some Netflix, play some music, and cut all the boning at once so you're done with it. I then put these steel caps on the edges of the boning so it doesn't pierce through the fabric and stab the person, you know, that's always a good idea, I guess. I just slid the caps on regularly and used the pliers to pinch it tightly in place. I seam ripped open each boning channel from the top and then slid the boning into each of the channels, and if you did the measurements correctly, it should slide in perfectly. I then sewed carefully along the openings of each channel, making sure not to sew over the actual boning because that would definitely break a needle and that's no fun. So now that we added the boning in, the next thing that we have to do is like add the zipper and also add the straps. So I'm going to start with adding the straps, and just for a little bit more detail, I'm going to use these little metal rings that I had from like purse making, but you don't have to use this. This is just optional and it just adds like a little bit more detail, I guess. So I'm using these 2 silver metal rings and I'm going to use them to attach the straps. So on the corset, like on these little corners that we added in our pattern, I'm going to wrap that around the metal rings and then tie the strap to it. Okay, so the last thing to do is add whatever closure you want. So the girl that I'm making this one for asked for a zipper closure instead of like the tie-up detail. So I went to Joann's and got like a sport zipper that, like, you know, it can come apart. So it's not like a regular zipper that's like on pants. It's kind of like the kind that's on jackets. So this is what I'm going to sew onto the edges of the corset. So the first thing I'm going to do is just sew down the raw hem, and then I'm going to attach the zipper and then make the straps, and then we're done. Yeah, we're almost there, almost done. Okay, I'll be completely honest with this. This is my first time I successfully sewed a zipper on, and I'm very proud of myself. Let's please take a moment for my work. I first unzipped the zipper so that it was in 2 pieces and lined it up with the already sewn seam of the corset. I think there's a special foot out there somewhere that you're supposed to use when sewing zippers and it makes it easier or something like that, but your girl definitely doesn't have one of those, so I just sewed carefully, trying my best to sew a straight line. To cut the zipper, I marked where it needed to end and cut it. That seemed a lot more complicated in my mind, but I guess that's what I did. To make a little stopper for the zipper, I hand sewed between the top 2 zipper teeth to prevent the zipper from falling off. I think there's a little cap that you can buy somewhere, but this is the economically friendly version of that. After the zipper was done, I started making the straps. I cut 2 long rectangles out of the hoodie's arms and folded and pinned them in half, wrong side to wrong side. I sewed along the edge of the fabric and flipped it on right side out. To do this, I attached a safety pin to one of the sides of the rectangle and pushed it through itself until it reached the other side. This made a spaghetti strap looking thing and no seams are noticeable, so win-win. I then tied the straps to the rings I sewed on earlier and sewed it along to the back of the corset, and just like that, you're done. And yeah, that's how you turn a hoodie into a corset. I hope that this video was helpful, that it was entertaining, that it was inspiring. I think it was such a great way to repurpose an old hoodie that like wasn't being used. As I said earlier, I bought this one off of Depop. The customer had found it and like requested it. But you know, if someone was selling it for a reason, they weren't wearing it. So it's a great way to like repurpose old things instead of throwing them away. So this customer actually asked for 2, the black one that you guys saw and a white one, and I absolutely love how both of them turned out. So you guys saw this one in the making, you know, the black one, super cute, but oh my god, I love this white one. like I'm about to go make one for myself now. They're just so cute, and you know, corsets are so trendy, but they're also like comfy because they're made out of like the sweatshirt material, so best of both worlds. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. As always, comment questions down below, make sure to like and subscribe, I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.